I'm Jamie, I'm Isaac's father.
I'm Sarah, I'm Isaac's mum. And who are you? Isaac Chatsworth, good boy. When he finally came out, he was blue, non-responsive, not breathing. He'd ingested meconium, wasn't making a sound, and basically, he was resuscitated, whipped off to RPA from the hospital where he was born, and spent 18 days in the NICU at RPA. Suffered HIE at birth. They told me the night he was born that they suspected HIE, potential brain damage, and that he could potentially have cerebral palsy. And I'm told this the night he was born at 2 o'clock in the morning. Jamie had gone home, my mum had gone home. It was extremely traumatic, but Isaac was the perfect baby to look at. He was 4.1 kilos, 54 centimeters long. You know, you look at him and you think, yeah.
It's an umbrella disorder in the sense that you can have 100 children with CP and it looks different for every single one of those. So I suppose as parents, it can affect the way a person sees, a person hears, whether they can walk with assistance. It essentially falls into sort of 5 categories, where you've got severe as 5 and then 1 being mild. And for Isaac, he fell in between that sort of 4 or 5 because the quadriplegia, the tone of his muscles, the spasticity was quite high. So you get that contraction of all the muscles at the same time. The first few years where to me, knowledge is power. So for me, I remember getting that folder and literally filled it with everything I could in terms of evidence-based research. Then I joined the Cerebral Palsy Alliance as a volunteer, and I wanted to meet parents who were further along down the track as well. And that was my coping mechanism, just to learn as much as I can. And then naturally for Sarah, a lot of hers were around that grief and looking at other children and comparing, which is totally understandable. The more research I did as well, the more that we both saw that this is incredible to improve quality of life and to give Isaac as much of a normal life as possible involves a lot of money. The equipment needed just to make really small changes in his functionality are out of most parents' reach. So the way you get that is through the Cerebral Palsy Alliance as well, through charities. Our first donation was was it one of the walkers? Yeah. What charity was that?
That was I think that was the Lions.
The Lions,
Club.
Yeah. So again, you just a lot of people fundraise, GoFundMe. So and that can be time consuming in itself, but worth it with the end result because it makes such a difference with Isaac. You know, it's just finding another way for him to do what we can, and the equipment there is incredibly expensive. Communicating, definitely communicating. So before we had a variety of speech therapists that came in, and we trialed what we do initially with like the boards, where we've got basic sort of, you know, I'm hungry, I'm tired, you know, those sort of basic communication. We were just incredibly lucky to time the eye gaze technology, which essentially it's calibrated to his eyes, and it allows him to select what he wants and just talk in a way that puts him on the same playing field as everyone his age that probably uses a device as well to communicate. So that challenge was overcome, and he was able to now join a mainstream school, participate in normal classes, and also at home just to to tell us anything he wants to do anything he wants to do. So
he's always been he's got a really amazing disposition, and comments that we've always received from friends and teachers, preschool, were always about how lovely he is and social, engaging from a very young age, wasn't he? Even when he was a baby, he'd always catch women's eyes, you know, he'd always be flirty. Even when he was like 2 years old in his little stroller, he would, if he could get attention, he'd get it. He's very thoughtful, and I just think to hear comments from people that what a nice little boy he is, that just means the world to me. And he's smiley, he's engaging, and I love that about him. He was great with preschool, he loved it. Often you'd go to pick him up and he'd drive off, he didn't want to come home, which was always nice. My priority is making sure I'm okay for Isaac. He's my number one, and I will do whatever I can to protect him.
I think his personality, I remember I had a friend come here once, and it was again, we were in the pool, and obviously Isaac, if you let go, he's just going to sink to the bottom, and he loves it in there. He splashes around and he swims, and his favourite thing at one time is he was a little bit too skinny for the hoop, and his favourite thing was to put his arms in the air and just sink to the bottom and rely on old dad to, like, you know, when you were kids at school, rescue the brick from the bottom. And he would love that. And I remember a friend saying, you know, if I knew I couldn't swim, and then if I got in there, I would just sink to the bottom, you wouldn't see me anywhere near it. And that's sort of a reflection of Isaac. He's fearless, and that personality.
Fearless. His personality just shines through.
Yeah.
The fact that he's non-verbal and can engage with strangers, teachers, just from facial expressions and yes/no questions is really, it's lovely.
Yeah, we were told early on with children living with CP, quite often when they know they can't do something, they'll just stop. And I think that's true of probably most people. With him, he would keep trying. Not stubbornness, but I'll just keep trying. Yeah, perseverance. And I think that one of the key traits is resilience, yeah. So having that resilient personality is sort of crucial to anyone's development.
When a lot of people say, would you take the disability away? I absolutely would. I would love to see him running around like a regular kid and doing everything else.
Who are we to deny that of Isaac?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is the situation and everyone makes the best of it, and Isaac's a happy boy, but who are we to say if that was on the table? Like, for Isaac's sake, of course he would want to run around like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those cliche questions that people say, oh, but you wouldn't change it. We'd change the disability, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course we would, yeah. But it doesn't mean that it gets in the way of us now.
No.
We don't, Isaac just does things in a different way. And we just make sure to nurture that, find his strengths. And I think that's a big part of parenting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Find his strengths and nurture them. You know, if you see Isaac out, come and say hello. Definitely. If you're curious about the chair, curious about the technology, curious about Isaac, just come up, introduce yourself, and we're happy to talk to you and tell you. And I think that's something, I'm saying this about I never used to do this. You know, often we feel sort of confronted or we don't know what to say. So, you know, if I could go back to my old self, I'd encourage myself to do that. But certainly now I'm in this position, I'd love to tell people and educate people, and so would Isaac. If he's got his eye gaze, he'd love to tell.
Cerebral palsy, a lot of people think it's a disease, it's, everyone's different with cerebral palsy. Someone can be really mild. You just got to watch the Paralympics and see see them on there, and their amazing achievements. But yeah, same like Jamie says, talk to Isaac, not me, not Jamie. Come and say hello to him, and he will always engage. So don't be afraid to engage with someone with CP, because I always try and engage with anyone now, adults, kids, you name it, and it means a lot for that person as well.